My dad used to manage me the first 10 years of my career. He would say to me, John, if you question an umpire, just don't curse. They can't do anything. That's where I came up with, you cannot be serious. You're an incompetent fool. You guys are the pits of the world. You know.
So you couldn't have told me that maybe 10 years ago?
Listen, I tried.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I did.
Welcome to Hana Kuma's Good Trouble, where we celebrate those who have the courage to disrupt the norm. I'm Nick Kyrgios, professional tennis player and your host. In each episode, we'll sit down with game changers who aren't afraid to rock the boat. We'll dig into their stories and the waves they've made in their worlds for the better. Welcome to my show, Good Trouble with Nick Kyrgios. As you can see, we're at the beautiful Wimbledon. Joining me today is the original bad boy himself. His haters called him the super brat, most Johnny Mac, but I lovingly call him the OG. He amassed the most open era titles, the greatest single season win rate, and easily the most broken racket, allegedly. His artistry is not confined to just the game. He plays music, does voiceover acting, is an art collector, a husband, and a dad of 6. You've truly done it all. Now, John, thanks for joining. What does Good Trouble mean to you?
Good Trouble means to me that I finally made it, you know, and I'm hearing a lot about your show, so I've been, when's the call coming?
I honestly wanted you first, some of the first episodes, but you left me on red for like 4 months.
No. That's, we don't want to get into that, but it's all good.
I never ever thought that you and I would be ever in the same box commentating one of the most perfect events in the history of tennis. So who let that happen? Kyrgios and McEnroe in the box, commenting on other people's behavior.
You know, I'm trying to figure out how that happened. I think that it's got all types of possibilities. You know, we've done it a little bit, but this is, you know, I love the Australian Open, but this is sort of like the pinnacle to me. You know, when I grew up, it was like, if you made it to Wimbledon, it was like unbelievable across the ocean. So the fact that we're doing it here, look at this. I mean, I don't know how you got permission to do this. I mean, I thought you're the new bad boy. How do you get to be, I've never been on Henman Hill. I walked by it, but this isn't too shabby.
So when you were like playing during your career, and obviously you and I had some crazy moments, you know, towards umpires and just towards the sport, and it was all I think in good faith. We got big hearts, we're competitors. Did you ever think that you'd be on the other side, being a commentator? Did you ever say, I'm never gonna commentate? Because I did. I was like, there's no way I wanna be doing it.
Pretty much everything that I said I wouldn't do, I've done. You know, I'll never play seniors tennis. Never commentate. I wouldn't be caught dead doing that. I'll never own a tennis academy. I mean, I'm fed up with these people. So it is sort of, when you're in the middle of the eye of the storm, which I felt like I was. I mean, some of it was my fault, I admit. I'll give people an example. There was 15 local newspapers in London. So everyone's trying to come up with something, you know, a reason why you would pick up one of them. And I think that because of that, embellishment of the truth or outright just making things up seems to become the norm. And there's nothing you can do about it, which is frustrating. So I sort of had this, if I ever win this damn tournament, I'm out of here. I'm never coming back. And, you know, my frustration was growing because I sort of was considered one of the favorites. You know, I made it to Wimbledon at 18 in 1977. So I'm thinking, all right, this is perfect for me. I'm going to kick some ass. And in, you know, a couple of 4 years, I hadn't won it. I lost the match to Borg. It was one of the, you know, it was the most memorable match I was ever part of, but I lost. I win the tournament, and I'm like, having said I'm never coming back, and I felt like right at that moment I could fly, like I could fly out of the stadium. It was like the relief and just the joy was so great. And then I remember like 5 minutes later, like, I want to win this again. I got to come back here. So it's actually a lot easier now than it was then, because when you're coming, you know this, you come in, you're trying to, you know, win it. You're sort of locked up, and you feel like you can't do anything. You're lucky if you have a, you know, good night out, go to a good restaurant.
I definitely felt that. I was very like confined, and I didn't have those late nights.
But interesting though that you think about it, that was the year you got to the final.
Definitely.
So, you know, you sort of have to give up certain things at least temporarily, if not for a longer period. So now I can come and enjoy, like, I have my cake and eat it too, in a way. I mean, it's nothing like walking on center court. They'll never be the same, but it's pretty damn nice to sort of be in that corner booth, or be just part of this event now. And they've done so many good things for the tournament, but also for the players. Because
Definitely.
I sort of felt like the players weren't getting treated too well in the beginning. So there was this clash of personalities, but also clash of belief. You know, it's like, why is everyone so well behaved here? You know, I grew up in New York City. You know, so it's.
But your younger brother's not very loud. Pat's quite calm. Almost the opposite.
Well, you know, you live and learn. You know, I think he obviously saw what I did and was like, I'm not going to go there, and I don't want that type of. Maybe you could call it good trouble, as it turned out. But
this is more of a personal thing. What brought you to tennis specifically? Did you have a passion for it?
No. Specifically, was my parents moved to a part of New York, Queens, which is actually where they play the U.S. Open. Joined a club a block from where I lived. And I started to hit a few balls, like with my dad. We started playing at the same time. The pro there, whose son I believe played on the pro tour a little bit, said, hey, your son's good. You should send him to this place in the Port Washington Tennis Academy. I didn't know what it was. This guy, this legendary captain of Davis Cup teams, Harry Hopman, is there. He runs it. I'm like, who the hell is Harry Hopman? Well, he coached Rod Laver and Rosewall, knew all these great Aussies. He made me try harder. You know, that's my goal at my academy, to go out on a court and get you to try harder than you normally would, or do something that you didn't know you could do.
You've seen me try hard at your academy heaps. I'm always there.
My goal is to be the Harry Hopman of my academy, you know, and be that inspirational leader. I'm not like X's and O's. I could do this stuff, but that's not me. I got, you know, 35 other people, my brother, tons of other people to do that. So one thing fell into another.
So there's a quote in your early teens, shorter than most of his peers and pudgy in his early teens.
Yeah.
And for me,
you can relate to that.
Well, but I didn't know that you were like that in your teens, to be honest, because there's pictures of me on the internet. People are like, how'd you become this athlete? And I'm like, I was no athlete, because I was like chubby, I wasn't tall at all. And then all of a sudden I had a growth spurt, 6'4.5", and then I started sliding around. I was like, I didn't really do that. I don't think I did the work for this. I think I was just blessed, but I didn't know that with you, so.
Well, they used to have 4 sizes in jeans. There'd be small, medium, husky, and large. I was husky. I wasn't quite large.
Okay.
My mom always used to cook these great meals.
That's the same with me.
Same thing, but every meal there was dessert.
Oh.
If you're a kid, like growing up, you're 12 or 14.
You're not passing on dessert.
And someone says, you know, here's some chocolate cake with some vanilla ice cream. No, I gotta be disciplined.
Yeah,
no.
12, yeah, no way.
You're like, are you kidding me? Of course I'm gonna have this. I used to have like a whole thing of Oreos and milk right before I went to bed. I'd be like, you know, wake up. And then I realized actually when I went to Stanford, which is actually after I got to the semis in Wimbledon, I go to college for a year, and I realized that dessert is an option. You don't have to have it.
You don't have to have dessert.
So then I was like, maybe I should try to, you know, see if I could actually get in pretty good shape. Because I never won a 5-set match in the juniors, lost every one I played. I'd fade in the end. I'd be like, and then I'd see the guy I lost who, he's going for a run after. I go, what in God's name is this guy doing? We just played 5 sets and you're gonna go. So I was like, wow, some people are really into this.
But do you think that ended up shaping your tennis game? Like, were you ever not fit enough to play? Because when I originally got on the pros, I played my first couple Grand Slam matches, and I found out then that I wasn't fit enough to play 5-set matches. Because my record in 5-set matches is unbelievable now. It's like, I think 12-4. But early on, I lost like 2 or 3 in a row. And then I found out that I needed a lot of work and I needed to do a lot more to get to the level I needed to. But did you find that out when you were there or beforehand?
I guess I was lucky that in my day, the courts were such that, you know, you were serving and volleying, which, you know, doesn't happen now.
A little bit, yeah, not as much. Yeah.
What, 10% of the time, as opposed to 90.
So let's talk about your style, because, you know, I have my style, love NBA. So I walk on every court with a pair of Jordans. And in 2022, I got fined for wearing red Jordans and a red Jordan cap. It was like, I think it was a 16,000 pound fine. And, you know, you look in your career, you've got the headbands, the collar, the socks, the signature shoes. Where does your vibe and, you know, style come from? Is anyone you emulated off, or is that just you?
I'd like to say it was, you know, a good part of it was me. You know, you're trying to be like a rebel with a cause. Being with Nike was very helpful for me because they'd encouraged me to sort of do the opposite of what the normal path was. I remember way back when, my first Wimbledon, and there's a picture of me like with the Dunlop racket, the wood racket, and Nike shoes. Poster said Nike shoes are tougher than, you know, any racket. And so the idea was like embellished in a way, but mainly you got to be yourself. I mean, of course there's people I looked up to. I mean, Rod Laver was my idol, but Rod Laver's the world's nicest guy.
Yeah.
I'd be like, Rod, say something just not that nice about somebody. I'd look at like Nastasi, for example, and Connors, these guys, they were just, we were like the inmates running the asylum. I loved other sports. I can't say I took it from, like Michael Jordan was, somewhat similar time as me.
Yeah, because he came in with the original
Mid-'80s.
Jordan
I've been signed with them since 1978. He was, early to mid-'80s.
Is it true you told him that you didn't like Just Do It?
I did tell Phil Knight that. He came to me with advice. He goes, "What do you think of this new slogan, Just Do It?" I said, "It sucks. It's too obvious." Clearly, he knows a little bit more about marketing than I do. So I think ultimately, this, you have to be yourself.
Definitely.
If you're not yourself, then it's just everything, it's so obvious to me.
So look, the All England Club and Wimbledon since 1877, nearly 150 years of, I've had some controversial moments, you've had some controversial moments, but I think the famous "You Cannot Be Serious," I think no one's ever topped that moment. Do you ever wish that someone topped that, or do you like that being at the pinnacle of all controversy?
I'm not sure how controversial it is now. It's sort of like almost people think of it as funny.
It's good. I love it.
I'll tell you, my dad used to manage me the first 10 years of my career, God rest his soul, and he was a lawyer. So he would say to me, "John, you don't need to do this. You're better than them. Just play." Of course, he would say, like, "You don't need to do this. You're better than them." So he goes, "But if you question an umpire, just don't curse. If you say stuff that's, they can't do anything." So that's where I came up with, "You cannot be serious."
Now that is, we just got our money's worth in the whole episode. By the way.
You're an incompetent fool. You guys are the pits of the world.
So you couldn't have told me that maybe 10 years ago?
Listen, I tried.
You didn't.
Yeah, I did.
You didn't.
I tried. I go, "Nick, come over to my apartment and let's have a drink." And
that would have gone real well.
I would have been great. and at a certain point, you would have started listening.
Yeah, maybe.
You might have forgotten, but that's a whole other thing. But that was when I went over the line. See, that was perfect.
It was iconic.
Do you know that I only said that one? I played 15 years on the main tour.
That's the only time?
The only time I said that was that one time. It ended up, I had a book I wrote called "You Cannot Be Serious." It's sort of become like it's either sad or amazing. It's probably both a little bit. It's pathetic in a way, but it's also like pays the bills, I suppose.
Yeah.
The things that I had that I thought maybe would stand the test of time. Well, these guys, you've heard of a couple of them, Federer, Nadal, Djokovic.
They're okay.
These guys turned out to be pretty good.
Yeah, they're pretty good, yeah.
It's like when I lost to some nobody at the Open when I was saying, I'm going to win the Open one more time. At the end of my career, I'm 31, I'm going to do it. Pete Sampras, well, it turned out he was pretty good too. My last Wimbledon was 1992, lost in the semis to some nobody. What was Andre Agassi? He's pretty good too. So, these things happen. So I'm glad that I can feel part of the sport still.
Definitely.
It feels like, in a way, I'm more part of it even than when I was number one in the world. When they were telling me, "Get rid of him, suspend the guy for a year." I'm like, suspend me for a year? I'm the best fucking thing you have. This is what I'm thinking. Phil Knight, who you may know because you're wearing those beautiful Nike clothes. Every time that would happen, he would call me and he'd go, "John, Phil Knight." I go, "Phil, what's up?" "Keep doing exactly what you're doing." Boom, hang up.
It's a win-win.
The greatest perk that I've ever gotten from being a good tennis player is that I'd meet these guys, these legendary, say, musicians or actors. Jack Nicholson told me never to drop names. Mick Jagger, don't change a thing. I'm like, who am I going to listen to? Jack Nicholson, Mick Jagger, and Phil Knight, or am I going to listen to whoever the president is of the Tennis Association? So it was a pretty easy choice. Now, things get a little because if you don't go by sort of the rules, they're going to make life a little more difficult for you. And plus, there's not much you can do on the way up, but you start going down.
And then it's dicey.
They start, coming out of the woodworks, and they got big shit-eating smiles on their face all of a sudden.
There's a great quote, "To be a genius is to be misunderstood." And the British press, I think, misunderstood, and I quote, "Super brat, the most vain, ill-tempered, petulant loudmouth that the game of tennis has ever known. They said that about you when you were 20 years old. And for me personally, like I've been called so many things, and I think eventually it's actually helped me become the person I am, like thick skin, and I don't really care about it anymore. But you were 20 when they said that about you, and you were achieving things that are like the game had never seen before. How did you deal with that at a mental level?
Not very well, if people watch me play. But I think they had it completely wrong. You know, if anything, I was shy. It's like, what's better to show? Like fear, vulnerability, like you'd start crying on the court, or anger? If that's the choices.
Yeah.
You know, I was brought up, now it's different now, I think, with the way people look at mental health, et cetera. It's not just, you know, Naomi, Osaka, and Simone Biles. It's also a lot of male athletes. You know, how do you deal with it? I hid behind, you know, it's better to get angry and deal with the ramifications of that than show fear, vulnerability, and, you know.
Especially on the court, I think.
Exactly. So, but that's all they see. They don't see anything else. I remember the first year I played here, I was playing on the court one. It was probably the first time they ever saw me get mad. I'd lost the first set in the tie. It's when I took the rounds, and they all start booing. I'm like, why are they booing, man? I'm the guy that.
Too.
And then I was like, all right, I'm going to kick the racket. I want to see what they do. And they woo. And I'm like, this is the greatest thing ever. I get back to New York. Hey, are you the brat guy? The super? Whoa, wait a minute. You know, and it just turned into this, like, I was like, super brat, that's got to be the worst goddamn name. I have to put up with this shit the rest of my life. Right. As a matter of fact, I'm 65 and I'm still hearing this. You know, you do learn, as you said, to get a little bit thicker skin. Having kids has helped, but I was thin skinned.
Yep.
It would fucking drive. I'm like, are you kidding, man? You got this all wrong.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've gone through it as well, to be honest, and it sucked because I know you as a person and you're unreal. But I mean, let's talk about. Peter Fleming once said the best doubles team in the world is John McEnroe and anybody. And you're such a good team guy. Where does that, like, do you prefer competing as a team, like doubles, or do you prefer being on your own? Like, where does that team environment come into it?
It's a good question. You know, I played a lot of other sports as a kid. I liked that. Obviously, I was best at tennis. And I do like that, like, you know, you get all the accolades, but, you know, they're going to lay it all on you if you lose. So that's the tough part. Doubles was a way to improve my singles, but it was also the way to be part of something, you know, besides just yourself.
Yep.
Probably until the 3, 4, 5 years into my career, I finally became a better singles player than doubles player. I finished #1 in doubles 7 years in a row, whereas I finished #1 in singles 4 years. But I could, and I stopped playing doubles basically at a certain point because I had kids, and then I was trying to figure out a way to manage that. And I felt like my singles, I didn't do as well because I think the doubles kept me sharper than going in the gym and lifting, you know, or see these huge muscles. I'd lift for hours, nothing would happen.
You've got so many things going on, the commentating, you know, you're playing guitar, you're collaborating with all these like amazing people. Like, how do you find time to just balance everything, or you just kind of take it as it comes?
I think it's something that I've been trying to sort of figure out for the past 30 years. I think when you're playing on the pro level, you're in this bubble. You feel like there's got to be more to life than what this is. And then I had kids, and then you're trying to juggle. I had kids, you know, that's your #1 priority. And then you're like, God, I don't know how you do it all. And so it's a process. You know, I've been trying to sort of wean off that, you know, stuff that your ego trip for a long time. And I think I've done a pretty good job of, even when I failed at certain things, whether I tried a game show, a talk show, a lot of things that I thought maybe would be the direction I would turn didn't work out the way that I thought it would. But, you know, they always say you learn more from losing than you do from winning. Yep. Well, if that's the case, then I better learn something from these things and find out what it is that really, you know, makes me happy and, you know, head towards that. This process continues to this day. Yep. And has been going on for a long, long time. And I feel like I'm actually pretty proud of like the way I've tried to do it.
Done well.
Sports is one part of your brain. Then there's that other side, like music, the arts.
Yep.
And that part wasn't being used. Then when I first stopped playing on the main tour, I met my now wife, I've been with about almost 30 years. Who sold millions of records in the States. You know, she was well known, but had grown disillusioned with the music because they don't treat women fairly. And so I said, hey, it would be great if we got in a band together. And she said to me, yeah, it'd be great if we played mixed doubles at Wimbledon. And I go, you never played before. And she goes, exactly. 30 years later, it's taken 30 years now.
Oh, yeah?
She said to me, hey, maybe we should do some gigs together.
Really?
I go, we're not getting any younger. They're
That's
looking for they're going the next 25-year-old, aren't they? But, you know, it's for me, if I could pick up a guitar, play a couple hours a day.
That's your stress release?
It's a stress release.
You know, for me, social media is a huge thing. You know, I go on Instagram every day and it's cool to see, you know.
For how long?
No, not too long. I don't use it too much, but I see like...
What
like my screen time is probably like 4.5 hours a day. It's not too bad. It's not too bad, I think.
I don't know. I've never been on it.
But, you know, social media in general, how do you think you would have gone if...
I'd be in jail right now.
Why?
I would have said stuff that you
You don't think you would have adapted and taken it as a responsibility?
I would have liked to think that I would have, but so far, at this point, I'm not on it. It seems like you can easily get yourself in trouble.
Yeah, but there's
You haven't had any of that, have you?
Good trouble.
I like that name, by the way. That's a good name. Sometimes my kids take pictures. We're on Instagram. We're playing something. Can we put it up? I'm like, whatever. Do whatever you want. I have honestly not looked at any of those things. But, you know, I'm thinking, you're making me think that maybe I'm missing out on something.
You were missing out a little bit, I think. But so when you were dominating on tour, right?
Yeah.
Like, what would we have seen? What was it like?
You would have seen me partying with some famous people.
Yeah, but I think that's only a positive.
Yeah, well, I do too, but I prefer to keep it sort of, you know, behind closed doors. I don't want McEnroe's having dinner tonight at, who the hell cares?
To grow the game of tennis, I think it's good. Like, you know,
I would be, that I'm into.
Because like, let's say the big three back then was you, Borg, Connors, I'd say.
Right.
And then there's Federer, Novak, and Nadal. And now you'd see what the big three would probably be Sinner, Alcaraz, and we're probably still searching for that next person.
Right.
Like,
Kyrgios, maybe? Is this guy going to play again? Come on, everybody.
But like, you know what I mean? Like the social media around that, I think would have been cool. Like having you guys, the rivalry, the head-to-heads.
Honestly, the opposite worked. Because used to be, they'd say stuff like, oh, we're going to have the, TV cameras in the locker room, and then we're going to follow you around like, no, you're not. Get the fuck out of here. But, there was something about that time, where it felt like there was a lot of personality in the game. So we didn't need to do a lot of that. It's actually by not doing it, I think it actually helped us.
Yeah. Feel like during your career with whatever shit you copped, like the media, the criticism, but now every person that hears like your name only has something cool. They're like, oh, I love that guy. I love when he used to play. Like, did you know that during your career, when it was all said and done, that people were just going to love you? Because I think like you're known as the crazy guy, but obviously your level was, you won Grand Slams. So you're only loved now. I haven't ran into one person that says they don't like Johnny Mac.
Well, I'm sure you could find some. I did feel like even when I was being criticized a lot in the press, suspend this guy, he's terrible for the game. If I walk down the King's Road, which is one of the main roads in London.
Nuts.
And, when I first played, there was sort of the punk revolution. So it was sort of going against the grain in society in a sense. And so I started to realize that, number one, a lot of these people were supporting me. I had a lot of the working class, the normal people
relatable.
They were behind me, like, you keep doing it. And they sort of felt like the outside looking in. So I felt like it was like trying to break through a wall.
Yep.
If I could do that I think that people would see me in a different way. I didn't really succeed in doing that while I was playing, but I think afterwards when I got into commentating, like BBC, for example, allowing me to sort of like, just do your thing, be yourself. It was the way people commentated back when I played,
it was very proper.
And Dan Maskell, for example, was a legendary broadcaster. And, and a lot of times they'd be the only guy in the booth. There'd only be one person. Oh, that's a gem of a shot. That's a magnificent. And that was sort of the way that you sort of expected to be called. But then I think what I appreciate is that I was allowed the chance to be me.
Yep.
And hopefully people have seen, hey, maybe that guy's not so bad after all. Maybe he's got a sense of humor.
So Johnny Mac, Wikipedia says you've done it all. What's next for you?
What's next for me would be, the ultimate dream would be to go join a rock and roll band preferably with my wife, and go out and do a real tour and really play music on a more regular basis.
Can I control the social media for that?
Yeah, please do, because we need some serious help.
All right. Well, I've got an idea. Let's go walk around the Wimbledon grounds.
Let's do that. Let's do it.
You know, the evolution of the game. Like for me, like the courts are slow now.
Right.
Like when you played, obviously they were a lot faster conditions, serving volleys.
Generally. Well, the court was so bad bounces. That's why we were taught, because you would hit it in the air.
Right.
Because it would take a bad bounce.
Do you prefer playing with wooden rackets, with these rackets? Like, because wooden rackets, you got good feel. Like it always made you have good volleys.
Right.
Because like say Medvedev with a wooden racket, he would probably struggle.
You know what was funny is because I did this bit with Medvedev yesterday, and part of it was him dressing like me with a wooden racket.
Was he all right?
And the guy was volleying amazing.
No, really?
Yeah. He goes, oh my God, I'm better with the wood racket.
Oh, okay, so that kind of killed that.
No, but generally that would absolutely be true.
So here we are at Orangi.
Yeah.
There he is. You good, baby? Good to see you.
How's it going?
You know, the average player was 6'2". Back then it was 5'10".
Right.
Prize money's evolving. How do you see it? You know, what's going to change in the next 10 to 20
I think
years?
I saw like what was coming because I played Ivan Lendl, and he changed it because he was a big guy, 6'2"-ish. You know, had the huge serve forehand, but didn't serve volley. And then they started slowing the courts down, so I could see things happening. I don't want it to be wherever it's a bunch of guys 6'8", that just serve out of a tree and there's one-shot rallies. I think there's got to be a way that figure out how you can show, like why I like Alcaraz so much.
Yep.
Because he's showing all the skills. Someone taught him at a young age how to volley. Like the pros at my academy, I go, you got to teach these kids how to volley. Not that they're going to maybe volley a lot.
Yeah, I agree.
But they got to be to do everything. No one listens.
And I mean, you look at the modern day tennis game, and you look at the modern big three now. You got probably, I mean, Djokovic is probably still one of the big players you'd expect to be a part of Grand Slam. Then you got Alcaraz. Who's that next guy? Who will be the next, I guess, member of the big three moving forward in the next 10 years?
Well, I was hoping it'd be Ben Shelton. Sort of.
Oh yeah, you think you got a big serve.
But I wanted he made some great advancements, and for us in America, it'd be huge. The story's great. He wasn't just focused on tennis at 10 years old.
Yep.
He played American football.
Yep, he's a hell of an athlete.
A hell of an athlete. Went to college for a couple years. Hopefully he'll peak later, 20-something, 25 to 35. That's the guy potentially. But to me, it's like, it's really difficult to say who that person. Right now, you're seeing, 21, 22. Those guys are, Sinner, Alcaraz are the ones that have, separated themselves. Runa's taken us, not there where he was. If you come back and play, that's what I'd like to see you come.
I'm not 21 anymore.
Yeah, but you're still young.
Yeah, I give him
you could be a young 29.
So, I mean, we're in one of probably the best places in tennis history right now, guys. We're literally on the top of Orangi watching all these competitors play. Johnny Mack would have been here. Kyrgios has been here. All the best tennis players in the world. So one of my favorite quotes, I guess, that you've said, I can't promise you'll love me forever, but I can promise you'll never forget me. So how does John McEnroe want to be remembered? And after that, you've got to give us one last quote, because we're in the best place in the world. So how do you want to be remembered when it's all said and done?
Well, hopefully that people recognize that I gave back to the sport, that gave me a lot. That would be remembered. That people said he brought something to the table. Not just a talent, hopefully to play the game, but also an intensity and a personality. Because I think you need all that combination in our sport. I think you need it sort of in every sport, but particularly a one-on-one
Especially
game.
now, though. In tennis, we need it more than ever.
And to be sort of an ambassador. I feel like in a way I am, because it's not about me. It's when I do TV commentary, it's not about me, it's about who's playing. So if I can be, like I mentioned earlier, I always loved chocolate cake, but it tasted even better with vanilla icing on it. So I'm like the vanilla icing, hopefully. That's what I want to be, sort of. And hopefully thought as a good person.
Good person.
Decent person.
Andy, how are you, big fella?
Can we just say hello to you?
Say hello.
Just to say hello to this legend.
What's going on here?
How are you?
I'm doing his podcast.
Oh, nice.
Good? Yeah.
Has he been behaving? Or?
Yeah, he's been good.
You mean him?
No.
Him or me? What do you mean?
He's actually, you're crazier than I am, hands down.
What do you think? You know me a little bit longer, not maybe as well as Nick, but who's crazier in your opinion? Tough question.
I'd probably go you.
Yeah.
You would?
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
Well, maybe I maybe know him a bit better off the court, so I've obviously seen both of you on it,
you know, I have
and
six.
both obviously are up there on the crazy spectrum on the court, but off it, yeah.
I got time to make that up though. By the time I get to your age.
Man, that's a little disappointing. But, you know, it's
Thanks, Andy.
honest. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
All the
Appreciate it. Good
best,
luck.
man.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah.
All right, guys, so this is it. Johnny Mack, your mic drop moment. Wimbledon in the background. Andy Murray just walked past. What's one quote for the road for everyone?
Oh my God, this is tough to even imagine coming up with this. I'm going to say, just because we're here at Wimbledon and we're fellow athletes and we're all aspiring to greatness, and we had a lot of talk about mental health and the issues of that. So I'm just going to say my quote: it doesn't matter whether you win or lose until you lose.
That's good. Thanks, Johnny Mack.
No
Appreciate
worries,
it. That was awesome.
You got it.
Thank you. Hey guys, that was the episode with Johnny Mack. Don't forget to like and subscribe and watch all the episodes.